Every single trade deadline has winners, they have losers, and of course, we have to talk about it. We are, of course, going to be ranking every single NBA team based on how they did during the trade deadline. Winners, you did well, so you're not quite a winner, but you did pretty decent. Leaning losers, which you're maybe not a complete loser, but you didn't do the best. Didn't need to do anything, so teams like Boston, who really didn't need to do anything or couldn't do anything. And then the Mavericks, of course. The automatic losers. So every single team will be talked about, including your favorite team. So if you're new to Casuals Only, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you can see other videos. And of course, Casuals Only, let's get it. Yes, sir. All right, here we are. We're just gonna go in order from top to bottom, starting with the Milwaukee Bucks. And for me, the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm leaning loser just because you wish you could have done better for Chris Middleton. Also, sending him to Washington is so sad. And he didn't get bought out or waived or traded or anything. He's just stuck in Washington now. I don't mind the Kuzma pickup. I think for what you could do, it was maybe one of the better moves you could make. I think they were handicapped because they didn't have enough trade assets to make any other move. So what they did was the best they could do. I think Kuzma will be valuable for them. He has won a championship as a third option, fourth option on that Los Angeles Lakers team. I think if you can get him back to that, get him back to shooting around 34% from three and taking smart shots and not being a selfish player, you can get some good minutes, some good value out of Kyle Kuzma. Obviously, losing out on it was a first round pick or a first round pick swap. Losing out on that kind of stinks. And then you didn't invest, obviously, in AJ Johnson in the draft. You lose him, a young, promising player, or could be promising player at least. So I'm going to lean loser for the Bucks. Now, the Nets, I don't know if the Nets did anything. I genuinely don't remember them making any trades. Yeah, this article says for the first time in 4 years, the Nets were not active at the trade deadline. Should they have been? I don't know what their plan is with Cam Johnson. I don't know what their plan is with Cam Thomas. Should they have been more active? I have no idea. Cam Johnson probably could have netted you something. I'm going to say they didn't need to do anything because I don't know their plan. They're not winning games all the time. They're trying to tank. Cam Johnson, maybe he's a part of your future. I'm not going to say they're leaning losers or losers for me. Didn't need to do anything. They didn't do anything. New York Knicks, another team. I think their only move was Jericho Sims, I believe. They picked up DeLon Wright, got rid of Jericho Sims. Once again, another team where they couldn't really do anything. They didn't need to do anything. I don't know if they didn't do anything because of apron issues or just they wanted to get rid of Jericho Sims so he could have another chance to play somewhere else because he's going to be behind Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, and Karl Anthony Towns. I'm going to go into the did not need to do anything category. Now, for the Toronto Raptors, I'm going to lean loser, and that's because I don't know what the Brandon Ingram trade is about. I don't know what their plan is. This team should be tanking for a top pick, of course. You still have to pay him a lot of money. He's a little bit older than like your main centerpiece, Scotty Barnes. What are you doing with all these forwards and all these wings? I'm not sure. I'm just questioning their game plan. Maybe it's just bring in good players and then move them next deadline or the following deadline after that. I don't know what their plan is. I'm leaning loser. The Utah Jazz, I'm going to full loser for the Utah Jazz. I feel like they could have made more moves with Colin Sexton, with Jordan Clarkson, with John Collins. You can't trade Lauri Markkanen. Walker Kessler has been weirdly on the trade block for a little bit now. So I don't know what their plan is. They only seem to have brought in seconds or facilitated trades. They brought in KJ Martin and Josh Richardson. They picked up a couple seconds throughout the deadline. They waived Jalen Hood-Schifino. So I don't know what their plan is, what they're doing, why they didn't deal Colin Sexton and other guys. Did they not feel like they were getting enough value out of their players, or the trades that they were being offered weren't valuable enough? I don't know. I'm not quite sure. So they're my losers because I felt like they have guys that could be worth something and they just didn't make anything of it. The Houston Rockets. They picked up Jaden Springer. Is that the only thing that they did? I'm not quite sure. Once again, I don't think they needed to do anything. This is a team that we didn't expect to be second or third in the Western Conference to be playing as good as they are right now. They're figuring out a lot of their guys are better than they expect. Amen Thompson, we knew was going to be good, but we didn't know he was going to be this good this fast. We're getting stuff from Cam Whitmore. Reed Shepherd was supposed to be a valuable young piece to a building Houston Rockets team that is now getting more G League minute time than he is on the actual Rockets roster. So this team is going above and beyond this season. There was no need to rush and trade anything and make a push this year, especially with how good like the Thunder are. There's a lot of moving pieces in the West. Just see where you are and figure out where you are. Don't think you need to do anything here. I think I'm going to skip the Pelicans for now because I don't know what I want to do with them. The Lakers, obviously winners. Mark Williams, great move. Obviously, you got Luka Doncic, so there's nothing more to say about the Lakers. You win the deadline for getting Luka Doncic. The Chicago Bulls are my losers once again. I like the deal for Lonzo. Obviously, honestly secure the money that you can now that you're playing decent and you're healthy again, you're on the court again. Secure the money that you're able to secure. So shout out to Lonzo for getting his bag. But once again, just the asset management and not getting off of Nikola Vucevic's contract. He's playing good right now. Even if you don't get firsts, there weren't a lot of firsts being thrown around at this deadline. It was a lot of seconds. At points, there were 2 or 3 seconds being thrown around, but there were never multiple first round picks being thrown around for guys. And we saw a lot of ginormous trade. Luka Doncic netted 1 first round pick. So there's not a lot of first round picks to be had. I think you just had to get rid of Vucevic for 2 seconds and a young player, or just contract matching expiring contracts, which they weren't able to do. The Chicago Bulls are losers. Minnesota Timberwolves, I think they were pretty capped on what they could do. I don't remember a move that they even made, if I'm being honest. And if I'm forgetting one, I apologize for that. I don't think they could do anything. You wanted to get rid of Julius Randle. I mean, I'll lean loser. But then again, I don't think they could do anything. They tested the waters on Kevin Durant, I believe. They weren't going to be able to get him. I'll lean loser just because you would have liked to get rid of Randle if you possibly could, or make some upgrades at that point guard position since Conley's getting a bit older. But they're closer to the didn't need to do anything category. We'll go with the didn't need to do anything. The Blazers didn't need to do anything. I get you have guys that you could trade. You have Rob Williams, you have DeAndre Ayton, you have Jeremy Grant, you have a lot of guys, Anthony Simons. But if the price isn't right, there's no need to rush it. They're playing good basketball right now. They're figuring out where their guys are falling in line in their roster and the rotations and in the future of that team and that organization. So like I said, Blazers stand pat. You don't know what the organization is going to be like in next year. You don't know where your draft pick is going to be. You don't have no idea who's going to be on your team or what you want to do with this roster. I like the idea of them staying pat. The Dallas Mavericks, you're going in the Mavericks category. You lost Luka Doncic, man. What can I say? You lost Luka. The Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm going to go with did well. They didn't make a lot of moves. Daniel Tice and a 2nd round pick. That was all they did. They beefed up that backup center rotation now because Chet Holmgren is going to be on a minutes restriction, most likely coming off this injury. I think it's nice. You got Isaiah Hartenstein already. Daniel Tice can offer some backup minutes, and then Chet Holmgren can slowly work his way into the roster and into that rotation to the point now where they don't have to try and rush Chet back because they're still a little depleted at that center position. They're sitting at 40-9 or 41-9, whatever they are in the Western Conference. I think it's worth not making big moves. You would have liked Cam Johnson, but Daniel Tice in a 2nd for free is fine. The Grizzlies, in my opinion, are leaning loser, if not losers. I'm gonna go leaning loser just because Marvin Bagley, Johnny Davis in a 2nd. I think bringing that in, I think they may have waived Johnny Davis, but bringing that in compared to what you sent out, which is Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia, I thought they were going to consolidate more to a point where they could go get a Cam Johnson. I think they were maybe in talks about Kevin Durant. Nothing actually came of that. Jimmy Butler didn't want to go there. Their hands were a bit tied, but I think it could have went better. But then again, they're sitting at 2nd in the West, so I'm not quite sure. They could be at the didn't need to do anything, but I'm going to go leaning loser for now. San Antonio Spurs, you got your guy, De'Aaron Fox. You got to the team you wanted to get to. They gave up nothing. Sidi Sissoko, who went from Sacramento to Washington to waived, and now he's on the 2-way contract with the Blazers. You literally gave up a guy that was waived and a couple terrible first round picks. You didn't have to give up those Atlanta picks. You didn't have to give up Keldon or Vassell or any of those guys. Stephon Castle, you didn't have to give up anything. You got your guy. Great deadline from the Spurs. Denver Nuggets didn't need to do anything. They didn't do anything. I don't think they could have done anything unless they got rid of Christian Brown or MPJ or Julian Stroth, some of their guys that they didn't really want to get rid of that would mess up chemistry. There's no point in getting rid of anybody. They're sitting at 3rd in the Western Conference, so I like what they did, or I guess I don't even like what they did. I understand that they didn't do anything. Phoenix Suns, you guys are in the automatic losers. You had to give up a 1st round pick to get rid of Nurkic, and that brought you in Cody Williams and Micic. And is that the only trade that they did other than like the Nick Richards move earlier, a little before the deadline? I don't remember them doing anything else. They couldn't get rid of Kevin Durant. I don't know if they wanted to. Obviously, Bradley Beal keeps their hands tied for a while. Just terrible acquisitions, terrible management from the Suns. It stinks to say. I'm gonna say did well for the Clippers. Bones Highland didn't play for you. I think that contract of Terrence Mann started to get a little bit bigger than what his worth was, so they got rid of that and they brought in a bit older Bogdan Bogdanovic. I believe he's 32 years old. He has the capability of stretching the floor, even though this season he's not playing very well whatsoever, but he has the capability of shooting well. This is pretty much an anomaly season for him. He's shooting less than 30% from 3, I believe, off the top of my head. We know he's able to shoot in that mid to high 30s from 3. He's experienced. He's been around for a while, so I like the move for Bogdan. I don't remember if they did anything else off the top of my head. Oh yeah, they brought in Marshawn Beauchamp. Got rid of Kevin Porter Jr. I have no reaction to that. I think they did well, though. I think they did well. If anything, they didn't need to do anything. They'd be down here, but I'll keep them in the did well. The Golden State Warriors, I think, are winners. I like Jimmy's fit there, to be honest. You didn't give up a ton. You give up pretty much no draft assets or draft capital. You got rid of Andrew Wiggins. You didn't even get rid of Andrew Wiggins like it's a bad thing, but it only took Andrew Wiggins and some help from some other teams, 4 other teams to be exact. And then you got Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler is going to make this team better than what Andrew Wiggins did. And you didn't have to get rid of Kuminga, didn't have to get rid of Pods, didn't have to didn't have to get rid of Trace Jackson Davis or any other guys. You got out well. Jimmy Butler's going to help this team. The Pistons, I want to give winners, but I'll say did well. You just pretty much facilitated a lot of trades, brought in some second round picks, ended up with Lindy Waters and Dennis Schroeder. Why do I keep wanting to say Dennis Smith Schroeder? I don't know why I keep doing that. You brought in Dennis Schroeder, Lindy Waters, and like 3 or 4 second round picks, facilitated some trades. That's exactly what you had to do. Don't rush the rebuild. Wait for your guys that you're targeting to become free agents or tradable, and then you go after them. There's no need to rush into a Brandon Ingram situation where you're going to have to pay him next year. You're going to have to give up assets for him. There's no need to rush. I like that they stood pat. Sacramento Kings, I'm leaning losers. You got rid of your guy, and it stinks. You got fleeced by the Spurs, and it stinks. You brought in, Jonas Valanciunas, decent move, and he's okay. They got rid of Alex Len, so he fills in that backup position. Obviously, Zach LaVine is that big acquisition for them. I don't love it. And after watching them play basketball, the chemistry is completely thrown off. I don't know who's taking shots for him. I don't know who their guy is. The defense doesn't look very good, in my opinion. Just the whole team, the vibe of them is off. It's completely gone now that De'Aaron's not there. And this is the first time they play basketball without De'Aaron Fox since like 2017. So I understand that the chemistry is going to be an issue. It's pretty much the Bulls of the Western Conference. You guys are losers. I'm changing it, man. Losers. Cleveland Cavaliers. Winners. DeAndre Hunter didn't cost you a lot. Georges Niang and Karis LeVert and a first and maybe a second or a 2030 pick swap or something like that. That's all it cost you. And this is your window. This is your window. You hit the window. DeAndre Hunter is having the best season of his career. Ride that. I like the move for them. He's shooting well, plays great defense on the wing. If there's going to be anybody that can play good defense against, Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum or some of the other wings around the league, DeAndre Hunter can do that, and he can offer you 19 points per game or whatever on the other side of the court. I think it's a good move. Boston didn't need to do anything, and they only traded Jaden Springer and got a second-round pick back, I believe. That was about it. Philadelphia, I'm going to go with the leaning loser. They didn't do anything that absolutely killed them. I think they're handicapped by the apron where they couldn't do much in general. They'd made some small trades, got rid of KJ McDaniel, or did I say KJ McDaniels earlier? KJ Martin. I don't know if I ever said KJ McDaniels, but if I did, it's KJ Martin. My fault. KJ Martin, got rid of him, opened up some of that roster or that cap space. They didn't do much. So I'm going to leave him at the leaning loser. I feel like maybe they could have done more. I don't know. Did well. Charlotte Hornets. So the Hornets actually did pretty decent at the deadline. I'm not going to quite count this Nick Richards deal just because that was a little before the deadline. You got rid of Mark Williams, somebody you were concerned about, injury problems, all of that. Got a first-round pick swap and a first-round pick in 2031 that's unprotected. Big. And then you got rid of Cody Martin, and Micic has been pretty bad all year. For a second-round pick, the Suns gave you Yusuf Nurkic and a first. I think they did well for themselves. They're not winners, but they did very well for themselves. Got rid of some guys they were questionable about and brought in some assets. That's all you can ask for. The Wizards are big winners for me, man. They brought in a bunch of assets, to be honest. A bunch of first-round picks just from different places, second-round picks from different places. You brought in Marcus Smart, and I guess they're using Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton now to mentor their younger guys as vets. So that's your move. You establish in a culture. You let your young guys play. AJ Johnson was a huge W in my opinion. One of my favorite players to watch when he does play. Now he's going to get playing time in Washington. So big congrats to Washington Wizards fans and the organization for having a good deadline. The Magic are losers for me. You needed something. You needed Anthony Simons. You needed Colin Sexton. You needed, if you could have gotten Trae Young, obviously, you just needed something and you got nothing. The shooting is abysmal. The offense in general is pretty abysmal. Your defense is still very good. It's just tough to watch. You would have liked to see them go after Colin Sexton, but it's tough to even think of giving up a first for Colin Sexton. I would be willing to give up a first or second for Anthony Simons if I were them. Either way, you didn't do enough. I don't even know if they did anything, to be honest. I don't remember them being in a deal at all. So losers are the Orlando Magic. The Miami Heat, winners. Wait, you got rid of Jimmy Butler, man. Jimmy Butler was giving you guys headaches and you got rid of him. And Andrew Wiggins is a hooper. Wiggins is a hooper. You got a little bit of draft capital. It's not quite what you would like for a player the caliber of Jimmy Butler, obviously, but you got back something. And the biggest part is you got rid of the headache. You got rid of Jimmy Butler. No more worrying about that. Play the rest of your season out. Let your guys hoop. Let them go out there and just have a good end of the season. The Atlanta Hawks, leaning losers. I don't know what their plan is. I'm not sure if they understand that the San Antonio Spurs have their first round pick this year. So DeAndre Hunter, you got what you could for him. You sold high on him. Maybe you would have liked more for the season he's having, but I don't know if you're going to get more for just what DeAndre Hunter has been in the past. So I think what you did and got for DeAndre Hunter was decent. I don't really understand what they're doing either. It seems like Trae Young may be gone in the offseason. So there's that. They might even be losers just because they're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to be in the lottery, and that pick is going to San Antonio. The Indiana Pacers, I don't remember what they did. Yeah, the only move they made was trading injured center James Wiseman to the Raptors for a top 55 protected draft pick. So the Pacers didn't do anything. Did they need to do anything? I don't know. Shout out to Miles Turner for making it through another trade deadline. I don't think they needed to do anything really. And the Pelicans, I'm leaning losers on you guys. Man, you would have liked to get more for Brandon Ingram. Getting rid of Daniel Tice in a second for nothing. I don't know. I don't love their deadline. I felt like their deadline could have been better, but there's also not much they could have done. So maybe they're in the didn't need to do anything category, but they kind of did need to do something. You probably could have found a better suitor and better assets in return for Brandon Ingram, though. That's all I'm gonna say. But I don't know the deals they got. Obviously, I'm just sitting here making a YouTube video for a couple hundred people. So that's all I gotta say. This is my final list. Maybe I can move some spots around, but for the most part, let me know if you guys agree with this. If you're new to the Casuals Only channel, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate everybody who took the time out of their day to come in and watch this. If you agree with my rankings, let me know in the comments. Of course, I appreciate everybody. Casuals Only, I'm out.